Welcome back, bigots. Did you hear that Anita Sarkeesian is back in the news? If you're wondering why, go ahead and take a wild guess. X has recently blessed my timeline with news that only reinforces what we've been saying for over 12 years. We've been saying that Anita is an ideological harlot who has used the video game industry as a vehicle for her feminist pursuits. And I plan on proving that claim here today, which won't be very hard to do. The news comes from Alex Baldwin, who opens up the discussion with a question. He asks, "What if I told you that I've seen one of Anita Sarkeesian's private lectures that she gave to a game developer about 4 years ago?" Well, color me intrigued, Alex. I'd say, please continue. Which he does. Now, I'm not going to read the entire post. I'll just give you kind of the summary. So he basically says that he was working at 𝐡𝐞𝐫𝐞 at the time, and he's usually sent information from people that still work in the video game industry, and he says it's kind of slowed down over the years. Maybe like once a year somebody sends him something. But I did want to read this paragraph. "I've heard some wild things about Anita Sarkeesian's involvement behind the scenes, from her visiting certain studios so they can show off a game in development, to her giving talks to a dev team, to one who said that employees were, and here's the important part, tacitly threatened into donating to feminist frequency. But I've never gotten a video of one of her lectures. This is a first, and something I'm naturally very interested in." Now, I'm interested in that too. Now, I underlined the threatened into donating to feminist frequency part because I'm going to be coming back to that a little bit later. I asked Alex about it, and he replied to me. So I'm going to showcase that. So if you want to read the rest of this, please press pause. Go ahead and do that. But I'm going to move on. He also lays down another comment where he explains the content of the lecture that he has and plans on releasing. He says the recorded webcam interview thing lasted somewhere in between 2022 or 2023, so somewhere in that pocket of time. Sarkeesian was talking about feminist frequency as she usually does. She refers to games and online harassment, so that kind of gives you a timeline of when this video was conducted. Alex, again, continues on by saying it's post-COVID, post-George Floyd, pre-Trump's re-election, and definitely pre-Sweet Baby Incorporated detected. So that kind of gives you an interesting timeline. Now, I'm going to read the last paragraph as I find it more interesting. This reads, "The clip that I'm trying to post is, in my opinion, the most interesting and most telling part of the entire session. Sarkeesian is asked what her top challenges are in leading a project within feminist frequency, that is, that seeks to shift the greater culture in games." So here we have right here, and I'm going to show you the video myself, she admits that she wants to change our culture to fit her ideas of what the culture should be. Again, all of the memes that we've seen online are true. She's doing the meme. Now, I'm going to quickly flash another screenshot. You can pause and read it, but they're quotes from the video, and I figure it's pointless me reading it if I'm just going to show you the video anyway. A couple more screenshots here. Stick with me. Alex says, "Anyway, so I finally got around to making the clip." So he says stay tuned because he's going to post it soon, and he does. Here's a screenshot where he explicitly stated that here's a video that I promised. It doesn't give away any personal identifiable information, but does showcase to you some of the wackiness from Anita's brain. So, I'm going to show you the video itself, and as usual, I will be interjecting from time to time. So let's get to it. Here's the video.
There is always resistance to challenging the status quo.
She mentions resistance to the status quo. Now, I want the listener to understand that it's just a euphemism. Status quo is a euphemism for the truth, or reality as we know it. She views the truth as some monster to be slain, right? So just keep that in mind as you listen to her. So let's continue with the video.
There's always resistance and backlash. So I think that maybe I can illustrate this with an example. So I don't debate people. For years, these fucking assholes on the internet are like, debate me. Like, I'll pay you 10 grand if you debate me, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, no. And the reason I don't is because it is a lot harder. When you're perpetuating the status quo, you can use 2-3 words to get your point across. When you're challenging the status quo, you have to unpack the status quo and then provide a vision for the future and the alternative vision, right? So you are immediately in a losing position, right?
She mentions perpetuating the status quo again. So she's basically admitting that buzzwords are more effective than debating because her ideas suck and they would fall under the weight of scrutiny. See, we all know this. She's basically just admitted that. She's basically saying, I just want to call people Nazis and call it a day. It's much easier for her to call us names and keep us on the defensive. You see, that keeps us busy while she corrupts more of our hobbies. Have you ever noticed that's a tactic that these leftists, these feminists, these I don't know, rainbow cult members, they all use that exact tactic. They call us names, and while we're busy proving that we're not the names that they call us, they're out destroying more things. That's why I've kind of stopped defending the whole name-calling thing. I just say, okay, I'm a bigot, that's fine. I just, give up on that. Anyway, let's continue on with the video.
Like you can't win that. There's no way. And so I think for me, all of the work that anybody does that's challenging the status quo to build more progressive, more social justice world is immediately confronted at every turn, constantly with that type of resistance.
So she mentions constant resistance. I want you to really pay attention to this. She says you must resist them at all times, at all costs, so on and so forth. Now, are you, my dear viewer, starting to understand why the media and journalists act the way that they do? It's planned. It's coordinated. Like I've said in previous videos here on my channel, like I've said on X and even on Gab, I'm sure a time or two, this is by design. It's designed to fatigue you, so you give up. They want to make you feel surrounded. That's why they're constantly badgering you with the exact same type of articles, and they just keep pumping out the same kind of articles, just from different outlets. IGN, Kotaku, PC Gamer, they all say the same thing. It's to gang up on you. That's their goal. Again, I digress. Let's continue with the video.
And I think for me, in the bulk of my work in the past has been a lot of like, how do I phrase things in a way that I can get the most people to understand or to hear me or to get on board, right? I spent a lot of time thinking about, there's this concept called the spectrum of allies. It's kind of like a half circle. And over here you have your closest, most ardent allies that will always be on board. And over here you have the people that want you to die and hate you and think you're the worst ever. And in the middle, you have the people on the fence. And I spent most of my career talking to these people, right? Because they're the people who could go one way or another, and that can create a larger sort of cultural shift, right? As we're talking about building a critical mass. And for them, there's a specific kind of language I would use to talk to them versus talking to people that are already on board, and I can use all the internal lingo and all the academic speak and all that kind of stuff, right? It's the preaching to the choir model. So, I don't know, that might have been a tangent, but I think about that a lot in terms of what are the challenges, like, and even in your workplace, right? You think about like, if you're trying to make change or like ERGs are trying to do stuff, like you have to think about how you present your message and how you talk about stuff. And you also have to understand that people are going to find you when they're ready. So you're planting seeds, right?
She mentions planting seeds, which is an awfully interesting turn of phrase. It's mighty evangelical of her, I might add. I was going to joke that she sounds religious, but then I remembered feminism and wokeism, generally speaking, is a religion to these nuts.
Like, you're just like, if you share a little snippet here and there and somebody argues with you and whatever, and they come back 2 years later and they're like, oh, fuck, I know what you were talking about now. This happens to me all the time. I get so many messages from people who are like, well, I was a shitty Gamergator and I'm sorry and I know better now. And I think some of it is age. Like, not that Gamergate was only kids, but it's age. And it's also what we're talking about is this systemic shift that has happened over the last decade that, like, while we've had extremely regressive politics and an extreme backlash to the progress, we have seen a progressive shift. Like, let me tell you, in the middle of 2020, when like the big Black Lives Matter protests were erupting, hearing mainstream people say the word white supremacy was a fucking shock, because as like activists, we were using the word all the time, but we would not use it in like mixed company, because people didn't understand that white supremacy wasn't just like Nazis, right? And the fact that that is now mainstream and we're saying that word and we're talking about capitalism, like, it's not just the air we breathe. It is a system that could change potentially. Like, this shift is happening, right? And so remember, you're planting seeds, right? And even if you get frustrated, and even if you're like, oh, why don't you, like, whatever, there is an opportunity for them over time to come around and to see, and be exposed to different ideas.
Again, she mentions white supremacy again, a constant phrase that people like her use. She seemed awfully giddy about racists using that phrase, white supremacy. Have you ever noticed that? They seem so giddy about that. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird that they seem so happy about being racist against people who aren't actually racist. It's just a little weird. Now, this is happening as they are intentionally race-swapping as many characters as possible, while simultaneously pretending white people never enjoyed playing as Jax, TJ Combo, or Balrog. Again, it's just a lie that they perpetuate to justify their solutions. Again, it's just the Hegelian dialectic over and over again. It's the only thing they know how to use. Alright, so now that the video portion of my video is over, let's get on to some more information here. Now, Alex Baldwin tells us he's working on another clip, so he's gonna try, I'm sure, to share more of this interaction between Anita and some developers. He mentions here that he's gonna try to censor what he can so certain people don't get in hot water. So again, pause and read this screenshot if you like. It's actually pretty interesting. Now, I asked Alex a question myself because I've been wondering about a few things. So here's the question that I asked. Alex, I have an important question. How? How are these people threatened? With what? Why hasn't someone Project Veritas or O'Keefe'd these people yet? And by the way, that's something I would do if I had, if I was trained in that. I would do that immediately. And I don't think they would see it coming because I'm a very teeny tiny channel, but never mind. Again, I underlined in my own screenshot. I used the tacitly threatened people. So I used that quote as a diving board, the launching pad for my question. And Alex was gracious enough to reply, and this is what he said. So that story went a little something like this. Company that develops an MMO. Tropes versus Women Kickstarter campaign is in full swing. Lead designers and management were very heavily encouraged people to donate at least $20 to the campaign. Interesting so far. Asks employees publicly if they'll donate. 2 people said that they would not. Layoffs happen a couple of weeks later. The 2 who didn't donate get axed around that time, but that they were let go separately from the group that was laid off. So it's believed they were fired because of the refusal to donate. Again, the person who told me this was under the impression they'd be fired or otherwise blackballed from the industry by going public. And that's basically how it happens. Peer pressure. Now, I would like to add that it seems mighty convenient, doesn't it? This is another MO of theirs. Make firings and layoffs seem coincidental when you know it's targeted harassment. The harassment campaign has been on their end. They've been the one harassing us for the past 12 years. So I replied with another little question and tidbit. I asked, sounds like peer pressure within the AAA setting? And I said I'm clarifying because I think it would be a lot harder pulling that stunt on an indie dev, meaning they must threaten indie devs a different way. Alex responds with, yeah, pretty much. He says indie scene is a little different because there's a lot more emphasis on networking there. If you go against the grain in the indie dev scene, word will spread quicker than it will in a AAA development. Now, I have to kind of pause here. I originally thought the opposite, if I'm being perfectly honest, and which is why I tried to specify my question again, is I was thinking that it would be the other way around, that it would be easier to target people in a massive AAA setting because you can pull the kind of crap that Alex just mentioned, which is, hey, give me $20. Oh, you're not going to give me $20. Well, that's fine. We'll just fire you. Oh, but we won't call it firing. We'll just call it laying off, and you'll never know the difference. You can't claim that we fired you because it's under suspicious circumstances. You know, it's just a coincidence. So again, I was coming from the perspective that it would be harder to pull that kind of crap on an indie dev. Because again, an indie dev can laugh in Anita's face and say, no, I'm not giving you money. Piss up a rope, lady. And there's nothing she could do about it, because it's you and your closest friends making a game. What is she going to do? Fire you? She can't. It's your own game with your own company. So I hope Alex gets to hear this video, because that, like, I wanted to give that that little, I mean, it's not a caveat, that description. I wanted to be specific about that. So there's 2 more screenshots I want to share, actually 3. So let's get straight to them so we can finish this video. I had this to say. Is she connected with any DSA or Soros groups? Valid question, I might add. That's why I shared this specific question. Ultra valid. So Alex was kind enough to respond. He said, I wouldn't be surprised if she had those financial connections, but I don't know for certain. Now, again, I'd like to interject. If we get tangible evidence that Anita Sarkeesian has been paid by someone like Soros, the entire game is over for these people. If we get tangible evidence of that kind of financial backing, it's going to destroy these people. I guarantee it. So let's move on to one of the last 2 screenshots here. So Gary had this to say. She and everyone like her are a constant reminder that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Although I do genuinely question if her intentions are actually good as opposed to just being good for her. Ah, very interesting. So I would reply to Gary in this way. I would say, Anita follows her moral compass, not the moral compass. In her mind, there's nothing wrong with feminism. Destroying men's life is for the greater good. Destroying video game to inject their political content within gaming is seen as a greater good to them. Understand me when I say it's their version of morality. If the entirety of this video isn't evidence enough for you, and I'm closing here, the past still exists as a reminder of who Anita is and what her motivations have always been. So let me share that with you. In an article titled, Anita Sarkeesian Ends Web Series That Rocked the World of Gaming, again, this is Anita speaking. These are her quotes from 2017. She said, "It's never been about video games. It's always about social justice. It's always been using feminism to talk about these things." So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. She has been usurping as much power as she can, consolidating it as well, and then using her power to inject her political ideology into our hobby. She doesn't like games. She doesn't play games. She's not a gamer. She's a grifter. She is the liberal definition of a grifter. She gets paid to take advantage of our hobby and then abuse it. She's always been like this. And this has always been the case. We were always right about these people. We were right during Gamergate. We're right now. That's all the time I got for this video. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. Do all the happy, fun social stuff. I'm on X. I'm on Gab. I also upload separately on Odyssey. And until next time, have fun.